Hey guys, welcome back to another Shooter's Roll. So today we're gonna catch us up about the comings of the bubble, playoff bubble, the news of the NBA, firings, hirings, everything basketball. And by my side today we have Coach Lloyd. Is that how you go by, Coach?
I'll go by Coach Lloyd. I mean, let's this. When we go to coaching, hiring, firing, I'll probably fire away. So yeah, let's roll with it. Let's shoot as roll with it. Let's shoot.
Okay, cool. So when you use structure now on the menu on the side, if I get it in. So we're just going to go through some topics. So the first topic is NBA bubble favorites. We've had playoffs for roughly over a week. Just over a week. It's 2 weeks.
On a week. Yep. About a week.
Seems like 2 weeks. Right? Yeah, so we really have playoffs. Yeah, it feels like ages because there's so many games, right? So yeah.
Well, I feel like because certain teams have played for playoffs for so long, they've had that 8-game bubble, and they've had to win all 8 or in thereabouts to get in. Now they're in playoff mode. They're elongating their playoff status. So.
Yep. So let's start with your picks for the favorites for the championship. What are your 2 picks? You pick one from the west and one from the east.
Look, at the moment, I mean, the Clippers played well today, but I can't see them going past the conference finals if they play the Lakers. I think the Lakers have got that. Denver won today. I mean, they've got to go and play the Clippers. I can't really see Denver beating. If Denver or Utah, they're not going to beat the Clippers, so it'll be Lakers, Clippers. I'll pick the Lakers. And in the East, everyone's had a bit of a sweep at the moment, except for the Bucks. I like the Bucks over Miami just, and I may go. Let's go Toronto. Let's say Bucks and Toronto in the Eastern Conference Final. I'll go the Bucks in 7.
Yep.
I'll go the Bucks in 7. So Bucks Lakers.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Lakers. The way they're playing and the way they're stepping up, it's basically they're getting to the team they're meant to be on paper. So say if you got the 2 stars firing, LeBron, AD, it just sets the table for everyone else. Everyone else can play their own role. I was concerned about the playoff series against Portland because they're missing Avery. Without him, I think Dame's going off, but the main thing is they're making him work. They're making him work for every shot. So they're picking him up full court because, like you said, they had to play every game like it was the playoffs. So now they're at a state where the exhaustion is coming in, and the Lakers are just dominating them. Yeah, we saw that in yesterday's game. So
yeah, I mean, and sort of like the Blazers, they're having to start both Nurkic and Whiteside together because they don't have Collins. They don't have guys like that are in that thing for them. So Collins would have been a great power forward for them in this series because he'd have to match up with AD. Do you know what I mean? So he had that length. He's a bit more quicker. Good Gonzaga guy. So he sort of got that mold. Now him being out, they have to play both of them together. And then next that comes in, they're probably just an undersized power forward, maybe a small forward, like Gabriel. So Gabriel, he comes in, he does a good job. Like Melo does a good job, but he's just undersized.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that if the game was shorter, they have a better shot because they're not as deep as the Lakers are. And yeah, like we said, they played so many games just to make it this far. And Dame is going down with the same injuries. This just not. It's the war of nutrition, right? And they're basically fouling, right? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and then McCollum's got that fracture in his back too. McCollum's got a fracture in his back as well. I mean, that plays big if, he goes to the basket, he gets hit the wrong way, and it highlights that thing, it sort of aggravates it. He may not sit, he may go in the first quarter of the next game. Say Dame doesn't play, it all goes to McCollum, he gets hit the wrong way, and that fracture in his back sort of aggravates, and he doesn't play. Where do they go to after that? It's going to be all Melo? It's going to be a Melo show in New York again? I don't think so.
True.
I mean, as good as he's playing, I don't think it's going to go to him. So I don't. I worry.
Yes, like in I think it was game 2 or 3. I think it was game 2 when Melo was going off, right? And you can see the commentators saying if Melo's going off, is not a good thing because then everyone else goes out of the rhythm. So say he brought back New York Melo, right? But remember, New York Melo was just isolation. It's all him. He had to score 60 for them to get over the top to win. Everyone else goes cold, and especially with the two guards they have, Dame and CJ, they need the ball. Like the offense should be around them, not Melo. So.
Yeah, I agree. Like the ball needs to move for them. Everyone needs a touch of it, but it's sort of like whoever gets it first now.
Yeah.
So whoever gets it first off, the first pass over half court, it seems to be an ISO. If it's Dame, or if it's CJ, or if it's Melo, it seems to be the first thing over half court, and then everyone just stands there and watches. Sort of what I said about the Lakers in Game 1 when they played the Blazers. Every time LeBron caught the ball, everyone stood there and watched. It was just basically stand there, watch, and let him do what he wants. And sort of in the last couple of games, it's guys are cutting the basket. Guys like KCP are starting to do a little bit more. They're starting to move. They're starting to, they're starting to switch in spots and things like that. Just little things that make it easier for, LeBron, who's going to handle the ball 90% of the time, but he can actually go and find people. He can have 16 assists. He can go and have 16, which means he's had 16 passes for scores, not 16 passes for misses. 16 assists are makes. So they're things that people are making shots now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move along to, I guess, my pick before the playoffs. I was picking the Bucks, but seeing the reliance they have on Giannis after the lost Game 1, I've kind of moved my pick to the Raptors. Like I really like how the Raptors are playing. They're playing team offense, team defense, and it's just champion DNA. So I trust the Raptors game. Like it's more consistent. With the Bucks, like I don't trust that the team's going to turn up. I trust that Giannis will, but the rest of the team. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think they're very hit and miss. They're very, very hit and miss. I mean, they were very, very, very miss in that first game against the Magic. That's when the Magic were able to sort of climb over the top. I like what you said about Toronto there, that DNA. Nick Nurse, that's what I said. I said when I first jumped on Shooter's role, I said Nick Nurse for me was he was the coach and coach of the year. And if we go back, I actually watched that the other day and I did say that. And he got the champ. He got it.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I went back. Yeah, so I did call that. But he did such a great job with the Canada team in the World Cup. And he did such a great job with the Raptors last year. And he's done a great job this year. He just instills what he wants them to play like. So he has that caliber and that expectation of what he wants from people. And when people do the wrong thing, I mean, you see them get yanked. The other day, who came on for them? Ibaka. Ibaka came on. He was there for 2 minutes and he got yanked. He did the wrong thing twice and he got yanked. And then he went back out. And then he scored the next 8 baskets in a row because he got yanked and he got told off and then he went back on. Yeah. So instead of telling him off when he was on the floor.
Yeah. I watched that game late. Like I tuned in late, and then I was like, "Where's Ibaka? Isn't he like one of the key players?" And it's good that you told me what happened because then it makes sense now. Because if a coach plays like or coaches like that, it shows that there's one person in charge. I don't care. You got a championship. I don't care if you're an all-star. I don't care if you're probably one of the prettiest players in the NBA. If I put you on the bench, you're on the bench because you're not playing the way I want. So that's.
Yeah, they're held by expectation, but it's not just per one person; it's for the whole group. So the expectation is for everyone, and that's what I really like. That's what Nick Nurse does. If you go out and do your own thing, mate, come sit down, no problem. Because I'll find someone else. There's someone else coming in. Ibaka, mate, I'll put Siakam back in. Siakam just go and play in the 4 spot and just stay there. Yeah. Marcus Gasol, go back in. So that's what for him and those other guys, like not just Ibaka himself. They're held to a standard, and that's what a big thing is. Whereas, where the team that got swept in, against Boston, they're held to a different standard, those superstars, which is what we'll move on to next.
We'll get there.
Get there.
So let's shift over to, I guess, this week, the NBA draft was announced. So NBA draft is for the teams that, I guess, finish the worst record and they get the best percentages in terms of getting the picks. So who are your draft winners? Let's just look at maybe the top 3 picks, and then the Knicks were number 8, wasn't it? Number 8 and 9.
Yeah.
See, Swizz.
Sorry, Swizz. I said right before draft lottery, I said, look, New York got sort of stained last year in that, missing out. I think they got 5, whatever.
I think they got 3 last year.
Did they get 3? Yeah, but they got RJ Barrett, which is not a bad thing. But I think this year it's 8. I mean, they needed to be in the top 2. because they were probably going to get pretty cranky about that. And then to see them go 8, you're like, ooh. And I said that the night before. I said, if they don't get in the top 2, there's going to be some cranky people. And they're not very happy. I mean, for the T-Wolves to get number 1,
yeah.
Let's talk about that. They're not going to be very happy.
Let's talk about that. So T-Wolves got number 1. I guess we pretty much know the top 3 picks, right? You know, Lamelo. You got
Melo, yeah.
Wiseman. And who's the last one? Edwards, yes. So out of those 3, if you were the GM, display GM for Minnesota, who would you take? Or would you trade it?
Definitely have to. No, I wouldn't trade it. I definitely wouldn't trade it. I'd pick Melo. Minnesota need a point guard, a scoring guard. They need a scoring guard. And I mean, and then you listen to the games and stuff like that about, you know, they may move some things around to try and get, you know, old ball out of the Pelicans and try and play them together. That's a recipe for disaster. For one, you've both got 2 people that need the ball to score. One shoots the ball better than the other. The younger brother shoots the ball better than the older brother. It could be a recipe for disaster if the younger one plays 37 minutes and the older one plays 15. You know, Father Ball might lose his. Yeah, Father Ball might drop both his balls. He might be in trouble.
Nice pun on the words. So would you pick Lamelo based on the fact that they need a scoring point guard? So you think that himself, Russell, and our power forward, who's the power forward?
No. So in the center, you've got Towns.
Towns.
So Carl Anthony Towns. Yeah.
So you think those 3 guys is a good fundamental to build around?
That's nice, and I actually like D'Angelo Russell a lot, but he can create as well. So he's sort of got that same persona as Lamelo. He's sort of they can dynamic duo. You know, you can have Batman and Robin. You can interchange. Like one will carry the ball and facilitate for the other one. Like D'Angelo can shoot the ball quite well, and so can Lamelo. And they both can create for each other, and they're both quite good with the basketball. If you watch Lamelo in the NBL this year, he was phenomenal at being able to get into seams and things like that and create plays for other people. Illawarra couldn't score for the life of money, but he was always facilitating, hitting people. That's what I was saying about assists. It's about making, not missing. He would give out these dimes, and you know, people were dropping their change in in the drain. That's the NBL for you. You know, he dropped your change in the drain. But like here in the NBA, he's going to find guys and they're going to hit shots. It just, and he sets a great, pick and roll in the middle of the floor. He can pop and you throw it to him. He's going to hit threes as well. I think it's a nice little tandem that they've got there. Those three there. That's nice.
The issue I have with that, with their team is the defense. Like, are you going to get Lamelo? Are you going to get Russell? They haven't shown they can play that type of defense, championship defense. They'll be a fun team to watch. With that lineup, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They might come 9th or 10th, but they'll be fun to watch.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll have a highlight package. They'll have a big one. They need to find pieces from other places. Maybe they can trade and stuff like that. They need to find maybe a scoring 3-man.
Okay.
You sort of need that scoring. The person that comes to mind out of the Magic would be James Ennis. He's got that sort of rough nut and scoring sort of play. If you can get him over to Minnesota, it'd actually be quite nice for them. He's sort of that guy that I like. Not that he played in Perth at all. I hate him for that, but like he's just got that rough nature, but he actually has a scoring nature as well. He does the dirty things.
Yeah,
he's got that. He's got the 80s game, the 80s and 90s game. Yeah. Does the hard things.
Cool. Let's move on to the second pick. So the rich get richer in this aspect. So the Golden State Warriors had a 16% chance to getting in the top 5, and they got the number 2 pick, which is amazing. Amazing if you're a Warriors fan. So the rich get richer.
Especially what they got.
Yeah. So let's forget about their core. So they got their core. Who would you take? Would you trade it? That's the key thing. Would you trade it for a? Let's say we get Embiid or like one of these disgruntled stars.
So are we going to get rid of Wiggins for that?
Yes.
Are we going to put Wiggins back in Minnesota? back for Carl Anthony Towns or something, you know. Put him back in Minnesota. He moves around.
But then the thing with that, right? The thing if they do that is he's best buds with Russell. So Russell's been like, hey, man, I just came and you left me.
Yeah, you left me. I'm out. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say Philadelphia might be one. Depends what Elton Brand wants to do, you know, as a GM. I mean, he obviously has a direction that he wants to go in. I mean, getting rid of Coach.
Yeah, but
and not putting
Lloyd,
it on the players as well. So,
would you say that Golden State, because the championship window is the next 3 years, right? 3 to 5 years, or
obviously,
trade the pick. Trade the pick is their first call.
Trade for what? It just depends what the piece is that they require.
Okay. Yeah.
They definitely require a center that can score.
Okay. So
they definitely require that.
So you're saying they're centers at the moment? They're not going to cut it, Chris?
Yes, that's exactly.
Okay. Because Golden State's never really been a scoring center place. Like they always have that defensive anchor. And in terms of their funds as a GM, they always push their funds into the wing players, like Iguodala. They basically try to max out as many of those players as possible, 3D guys. And then the center, they always put a guy that's big enough to block shots and cause havoc, because we know when they play against LeBron's teams, if LeBron playing against a defensive center, that's the only guy that can actually slow him down. So.
Yeah, I mean, but the guy that they had there at the interim, that Syria Geiler, one from Europe, you wonder why they didn't win many games. That's part and parcel of it. I mean, he couldn't score from 8 feet, let alone 4 feet. So, they might. But again, if we're talking about getting Embiid, then what do you give up for Embiid? Do you give up Draymond Green? You know, do you give up Wiseman and Green and Wiggins for Embiid? But then what does Philadelphia think about that?
But if you give up, like, let's say the next 3 draft picks, the 3 years draft picks,
as well,
Wiggins and this year's draft pick, is that enough? Or like, would they ask for Thompson or Draymond?
Green. They'd ask for Draymond. Okay. I mean, you can play. If you're going to get rid of Embiid, if you're Philadelphia, you've always got Ben Simmons there as well. I mean, you can play Ben Simmons in the 5, and but you got Horford, but you can always play Ben Simmons in the 5. I mean, he's 6'10". You can have a point center. If he gets the rebound and he looks to push the ball, like it's something like that where you can play as long as he stays healthy. But I mean, I got this thing about Philadelphia. I said it the other day. When Simmons is out, Embiid and the Sixers lose. When Embiid's out, Simmons and the Sixers win. Yep. They win. Their record without him was a lot better than, you know, when he was in and Simmons was out. There was a lot better in reverse. So
my opinion on that is when I watch him playing Simmons, like everyone's involved. You know, everyone's involved and it's positive, right? We play good defense and we run and everyone gets to shoot. But with Embiid, if he doesn't get the ball, he basically cries. Like he sulks a lot.
Yeah, he sulks.
He sulks every play. He's a baby. Yeah. So
he's a baby.
So in terms of Golden State getting him, I think because he doesn't have to be the key player, then it might help him. Like, because then he's like that guy that has, you know, all the tough friends, and so he doesn't have to do the tough work anymore. Like he doesn't have to be the main man. So yeah, I think so. We're in agreement that Golden State is going to trade that pick for established star if they can.
Yep, and I mean, what's to say they don't want Simmons?
Yeah. Of course, if they can get him,
they can go Houston small ball. They can go Houston small ball, play Simmons in the 4 and play Draymond in the 5.
But if you take Simmons, would you give up Draymond for him?
Yes.
Definitely.
They both can't shoot. They both can't shoot.
You can't have 2 of them. You can't have 2 of them on the court.
You can't. I mean, you could try. Or do you give up Wiggins? Wiggins and many picks. Wiggins the pick and many more picks. And try and keep that call as a 4.
Yeah.
Draymond, Clay, Steph, and Simmons.
Yeah. In terms
Simmons
of money wise,
he's on a big deal too. He's on
5 years.
2.6. The other 4.
5
years.
Yeah.
So
5 years. But he's young.
That's a lot of money.
He's young enough. He's young enough, and then they can groom him to be the next star. Like once the core guys age out, you know, and then they can build
That's
around
it.
him. So
They can teach him to shoot.
So we're in
They teach him to
agreement.
shoot.
Golden State should trade that pick if you Golden State's watching. All right, let's move on to the third
Trade it
pick.
to the Knicks. Trade it to the Knicks for Swizz. Trade it to the Knicks for Swizz.
For nothing.
You could trade out for everyone. Start again.
All right.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. Let's move on to the third pick. So third pick is Charlotte. Charlotte.
Yep.
Charlotte.
Yep.
So then that means Edwards. Edwards. Okay. Why Edwards?
Yep.
Why Edwards? Best player on the board.
I mean, they lost. Yeah, and they lost out Marvin Williams, so he went to the Bucks. They probably try and fill that role.
Okay.
Someone that can sort of stretch it a bit and rebound. Just do the things that's required of him. I don't think they've got a bad group. They've actually got a nice sort of core. They're just very young. They're very, very young.
Yep.
Malik Monk, he probably needs to start now. It's high time for him to sort of get off the bench and stop bludging. It's time for him to start and sort of put his name forward. He's done so little for so long. Time to sort of put it up or, you know, get shipped out.
Yeah. So you're right.
I think it's his time.
So MJ is like, it gets to a point where these players have to be, like, are we going to build around you? What are you? Are you going to be a piece for the future? Or are we going to ship you out and we're going to move again? Okay, cool. Definitely.
Yeah, so it's like you start here, you've got to go further and further.
Go show progress.
Monk is just sort of, he sat around this for so long. He does some things that are like this, and then he comes back to here. He needs to be consistent in being a big piece of it, or just, you know, they trade him out. He may not make the deadline. He might be saved on this one, but the next one he may not be. They might look for something else.
Definitely. Okay. So we're saying Wiseman for that.
I'll keep. That was Edwards. Edwards will keep in Edwards for Charlotte.
Yep. So in terms of the big man, what do you think he will fall then? The pick straight after, I reckon.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're picking for the best players rather than the best position players, this is always, I guess, the draft dilemma for every team. Should I pick the best player? You know, like in terms of the Bulls and Portland, where they had they didn't pick MJ. Look at those calls, you know what I mean? So.
Yep. I mean, and if you're Portland, you pick Greg Oden, and he's a bust. He's big.
Could have got Durant.
That's
could have got Durant.
But that's my thing about picking bigs out of the college sort of system. They go and play 30-odd games a year over a nice space of time. Then they're going to go and play 82. They've got to keep their bodies maintained. This is my thing about picking a big guy early in the draft. Unless they have the athletic ability and the endurance to go 82 games plus a final series. Geez, it's hard to pick right now. That's why a lot of teams are going small ball. It's about longevity. You want the sustainability of keeping a roster into 8 or 9 players without having to export to 12 because 3 big guys got injured.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Philadelphia. And you lose Simmons, and then everything goes to the wall.
Yep.
You know, the Warriors throw out, you know, Bogut and things like that. Like, I'm not saying they threw him out, but when he started to get old, then it started to get harder to try and find something to replace. Definitely. So, yeah, finding big guys in the draft is hard. But if you can find that they're athletically and they've got endurance, I mean, pick hard if you can see a long sustainable product.
Yeah, and
not a Greg Oden.
Yeah, and then talk about big men too. Like the game is outdated now. Like if you have a big man that doesn't really do anything, you know, like post up a little bit, you really have to be able to be a stretch 5 these days. Like especially with Houston and the micro ball, they've literally made the big man redundant. So
exactly.
You always see that, going to school or seeing anything, you see a 7-foot guy, you're like, yeah, sure, NBA. But now you see a 7-foot guy and he's laboring, you're like, maybe pros somewhere in Europe, in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big. Like, Dallas is the same thing. I mean, Porzingis is 7'3". You got Maxi Kleber, Powell, who's, then did his Achilles. There's 3 guys that aren't your traditional center, your 5 men. They're all of them 7 foot, where Kleber and Porzingis step out to the perimeter and Powell sort of sits out in the 45 and just runs to the rim and dunks. There's no post up there. There is zero post up there.
Yeah.
So that's where the game's developed. So these guys that come out of college, do they have that perimeter game? Or is it something you need to develop and then they start, their stocks go from being picked 4 to being picked 12? Because where do you fit in? Where do you fit in rosters?
And I find sometimes, I basically find that the promotion of all these players in the draft, there's some sort of agent involvement to try to push their player up, right? Because you think about this, certain players, right? They're exactly like an NBA player, and they have all this upside, and you're like, but you can see an NBA star now in the league that does what he does, and it's the same thing, right? Like, how can a rookie be better than an established superstar? So, yeah. It's just,
and that's the sort of the game it is, yeah.
Especially if you get into a good agency. You get a good agency that has a lot of connections. You can push your trade value, also your draft value really high. And
push it right up.
Just a dark horse. I think we spoke about it before we started recording. You spoke about Hampton. Where do you think he's going to fall, and why has he dropped out? Is it because what we're talking about now, his agent's not very good?
Yeah, look, I think I rate him highly. I really like him. He's a great athlete. Sort of when he came to the NBL, they played the Kings in the preseason, and he sort of was just warming up, and he just threw one up, and he just put it between his legs and dunked it, and I was just like, hold on, this is the warm-up? Like, this is basically before the 20-minute warm-up. He just got out on the floor. He legitimately just walked on the floor, threw one up and put it between his legs and dunked it, and I was like, there's a good athlete. And then sort of when he played the game, you knew how mature he was, and now he's matured for a whole pro season in the NBL with New Zealand. He had a former import as a coach. I think he's sort of been slept on a bit. I'd pick him in my team for how hard he plays. He seems like a good guy, and he's a phenomenal athlete. And he carries the ball. He's a point guard, look, and he's 6'5", 6'6". Like, he's a good sort of player. If you sleep on him and whoever picks him up, a good steal. If he goes late first round, that's a steal. Absolute steal. I think he was better than Melo. Melo had a bit more flash in the NBL, but his team finished last. The Breakers didn't. So
yeah, exactly. Like he didn't get as much airtime. You can have 30
every game.
He didn't get much airtime.
I mean, you can have 30 every game. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Lamelo had 30 every game. RJ might have had 15 or 16. But at least they won. They won the game. Yeah. He knew his role. Lamelo was there to get his numbers. He knew that he was going to be on ESPN in the States because his dad had organised that. RJ never did. He played in New Zealand. They had Sky Sports. But like, he did what he had to do, and they won games. They just missed out on the finals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That was a big difference. And we say about the manager and pushing him forward. He may just say, listen, you sleep on him, and then he has a breakout season. He might have a breakout first year, and Lamelo might go bust. Yep.
Yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. I didn't like Lamelo's game because how can you play a player that can't stay in front of a point guard? Like, he didn't show desire. I've seen some interviews too where he actually mentioned, he goes, I try on defense, but the stars are all scorers. When I heard that in the interview, I was like, man, that's like, it's not a championship winner. Dude. Yeah, like, right. And then who's teaching him that? Like, is that his dad, or is that the influence around him? Big baller brand. They're like, just score. It's just it's partly true for what he's saying, right? Because you think about James Harden, like, just scored, but now he plays defense. It's just it took a while, but he finally got there, right? So.
I hope you're watching the current one. He didn't really do that yesterday.
Oh, he chooses. Picks and chooses.
Leave that there. That's better. That's better. He chooses. I'm down with that.
During this season, he had to play because he became the center, point center.
Exactly.
Let's move along to the next section. So this section is called Brick and Swish. We go through the topics quickly. Coach Lloyd, pretty much says what he wants to talk about, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so let's start with Houston. Russell Westbrook, his injury. His updates showing that he's actually training really hard before Game 3. What are your thoughts about his injury? Like when he's going to come back? Is it going to cause Houston any issues before that?
I'll go Swish on this just because I want to say they were fine without him. They don't need that influence. I mean, look at his personality yesterday when he wanted to go one of his former teammates. It's all about him. It's not about anybody else. It's about him. Because someone said something to him, then it became all about him, not about the team. It became about Russell Westbrook standing there in the Kobe jersey, standing on court, having a go at someone else. It was all about Westbrook, and it's not going to work. It's better without him.
Yeah, it felt weird that he was wearing a Lakers jersey. Like, he could have wore Kobe's high school jersey or something, because you're playing for Houston. Yeah, you play for Houston, and then your rivals, one of your teams you're going against is the Lakers. So it was weird seeing him in the Lakers jersey. Yeah. When I saw him on TV flash, I thought it was maybe one of the Lakers players. And then when I saw him in it, I just double look like, how did they allow that to happen? You're promoting a different franchise. I know it's Kobe, but he could have worn a retro jersey or something, you know what I mean? Or just a high school jersey or something, or like a Mamba jersey. But he chose to wear a Lakers jersey. It's weird.
That's right. But that's what I mean. It's all about him. It's not about the team. He's all about me, not about we. As long as he gets his numbers, like when he was in OKC, as long as he got his triple-double, he couldn't care if they made the playoffs or not. He had to get his triple-double. He'd fight people for rebounds just to get the 10th one. You know, him and Steven Adams. Steven Adams had the rebound clear and he'd come flying in and get it. Just so he'd get his 10th rebound and make his triple-double. That's the most selfish person in the world, and that's him. They're better off without him. I'd rather play Eric Gordon. At least he can shoot the ball.
Okay.
I mean, Russell Westbrook, can he shoot the ball? No. He might make 1 in 8 from deep.
But they traded for him, and he's like, what, a $40 million asset. So do you rather have him than not have him?
That's because Chris Paul's too old. Yeah, but that's because Chris Paul's way too old. He's starting to get on a bit, whereas Westbrook's a lot younger. But now they've probably worked out the same thing. Yeah, he's always broken.
He's broken, right? And then you see Chris Paul's the one that's killing the Houston. It's crazy, right? It's revenge.
It's revenge. Especially when he hits one of his old teammates.
Yeah, I love it. All right, let's move on to the next section. So I think the media has really, or the social climate at the moment is towards, I guess, African-American. A lot of things going around. Montrazl Harrell had something to say about Luka during their game. Brick or Swish?
Brick, please. Brick. I think everyone on NBA TNT covered it. Probably the wrong thing to say. In these times, and I think he got caned over the knuckles for that.
Okay, let's move on.
He would have got caned. So let's move on because it probably gets sensitive.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next section. So 76ers coach, our Australian coach, was fired by the 76ers pretty quick, straight after their first demise. Because Swish.
Yes, Swish. Look, he's a good guy. Brett Brown, phenomenal coach, knows what he's talking about. His father was a coach. He coached in the NBL before he went back to the NBA. He knows what he's talking about.
Yep. So, with the 76ers been underperforming this year. They underperformed really, really bad. They had the expectations, I guess, winning the championship. But you see, last year they had a chance, but Kawhi Leonard hit that jumper, which made our channel. This is where we got our name from, Shoot as well. If that didn't happen, this channel wouldn't happen with his name. Shout out to Shoot as well, the crew. So what do you think about the firing?
Look, it was probably coming. His record was 21-36 or something in the playoffs. Hard for when he basically over the last 5 years has played either Embiid or Simmons not together for the whole period of a playoff series. Losing, that's what I said. Playing Embiid, it was all about Embiid. When Simmons plays, it's all about everyone. The thing moves. Everyone gets, touches and shots. So I know Embiid averaged over 30 and stuff, but everyone else averaged nothing. Everyone made a point about Tobias Harris and Al Horford, what was it, 22 and a half or something together, because they barely touched the damn thing. They didn't get
Yeah.
31 shots to score 30 points.
Yeah,
They didn't get that. Whereas when Simmons plays, they seem to touch it and all the time. Like Simmons would rather score 8 points and have Tobias and Horford score 20 each. There's 48 as a group. But Embiid scores 30 and then 12 between the other two. There's only, there's not much. That's what I mean. Like everyone else seems to touch the ball. Like Thibault would touch the ball. Josh Richardson would get some touches. I don't know. Shake Milton, started the point for them. Yeah, like sort of guys would touch the ball with Simmons because whenever he puts the ball on the floor in transition, he'd find someone. Whereas Embiid seems to just go for something, get his own rebound, and then put it back. Nothing flowed for them. But that's what I said about earlier. That's about Brett Brown. How like Nick Nurse, he has a standard for his players as a group. Embiid and Simmons seem to have their own set of rules, and then everyone else seems to follow this set of rules. So if they go and they stuff something up, they get to stay on the floor. Someone else stuffs something up on the same caliber, they're off.
Yeah.
So sort of he had the perception was that there was two sets of rules: the stars and then everyone else.
Superstars, yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah,
and that's where he got flogged over it, and he probably got thrown, fired for it because he needed to set that standard across the board. Whereas Nick Nurse, first year, bang, straight in. Everyone's same thing. If you don't like it, you're gonna sit down. No problem. Yeah, so he sort of he probably needs to pick that up for whatever coaching gig he gets. I mean, the Nets have probably got Jacques Vaughn going back to Brooklyn Nets. I wouldn't mind Brett Brown being the assistant there.
Sure.
That actually wouldn't be a bad thing. Like, he can sort of help Jacques Vaughn. He's had 7 years at the Sixers. He can go and be the assistant down at the Nets, and he'll have Kyrie, KD, and maybe he can learn how to deal with two superstars and how to set the tone across the board. Because Jacques Vaughn obviously doesn't take anything. He came in for coach that got fired for the Nets, and and everyone loves him because everyone set at the same standard. So it might be a thing for them. I wouldn't mind that.
Cool. Yeah, good choice. I think Jimmy Butler did a podcast with JJ Redick, and he mentioned that key moment where he knew that 76ers wasn't in his future, because he went into a room and he just didn't know who was in charge. Like he blatantly said it, and they offered him the max, but he wanted to go to Miami, where he knew who was in charge. It was Pat, and the coaching staff. Like they have a standard of body fat. They have all these standards, that other teams don't have. So you can see by the way Miami's playing and how they moving on to next round eventually. The way they come in and all they got is Jimmy. They have one star. They got Bam. Bam is established to a star, but before the season started, you wouldn't say Bam Wood was a star. Jimmy's come in. They got their 3 rookies. Everyone's playing to their ability. They're playing, and with one superstar. And Jimmy is similar like to Ben. Like he doesn't care if he scores. He wants to stop people, and he wants to do the right play. Set up the right plays, and they want to win. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. Like Jimmy yesterday, what did he have? 6 points, 4 rebounds. I know he didn't play in the second quarter, but I mean, he got 6 points, and they still swept Indiana. Yep. So Indiana finished 4th, and they finished 5th, and they still swept it. Now they've got the Bucks, which is going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, Bam wasn't a star. He's now an all-star. This year, he was an all-star. Next step for him is to be a superstar. Yeah. Jimmy Butler went from all-star. He's in that all-star, superstar sort of in-between sort of thing. But other guys, like, man, what about that Duncan Robinson? Jeez. And Tyler Hero. Can they shoot the ball? My goodness. My goodness.
Those guys, they're not scared at the moment. They just want to shoot. They want to play, and they fight on defense. That's all you can ask from rookies, right? So,
exactly.
Awesome.
And Kendrick Nunn, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and one other, all undrafted. Not people that are in the draft. They're undrafted people, and they're killing it. Why? Yep. Because they didn't get drafted, so they have a hunger to get into the league, and they want to stay there. So they work their butts off. The guys that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks. I can think of a number 5 pick, an Australian, Dante Exum. Where's he playing? Cleveland. Nowhere.
Is he still at Cleveland?
What does that mean?
Or is he finished?
Well, he finished the season in Cleveland. Well, he didn't really finish the season in Cleveland.
Injured.
They got stopped at COVID. But you know what I mean? That's a number 5 pick. Got paid money. Thought he was great, but didn't work on his game. And got traded. And now he's not playing a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not about where you drafted. It's about when you get in the league, how much you make of what you get when you're in there. So those 3 guys, like Nunn, Hero, and Robinson.
Yep.
Damn.
Damn. All right, let's move on to the next section. Thanks for that. Swish. Until next week for that one. So just closing things out. Let's talk about, I guess, what you look forward to next week in the playoffs.
Yeah, look, as you said, look, I'm sort of half excited about Toronto Boston. That's actually been a really good coaches battle. As a coach myself, I like that. Brad Stevens and Nick Nurse, similar styles of game, really up tempo, move it, shoot it, and then play good defense. I mean, what is it? Number 2 and number 4 ranked teams in defense. What more can you ask for? You may not be like today, yesterday. What was it? 99? Was it 99, 80 something? 99, 87. The Heat and the Pacers. The first bubble playoff game not to reach 100 points. Either team.
Defense.
So we're gonna go. Are we gonna go Boston, Toronto? They shoot the ball well, but are we gonna have a defensive thing? And then if you go say Bucks get through, Bucks and Miami, there's another one.
Might be sub 80 games back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s. I don't mind that. I mean, if you hit some threes and stuff like that, I would like to see some 24 violations, some scrappy things, a lot of jump balls, a lot of deflections out of bounds. Yeah, it'd be nice.
The only thing stopping us from that is just the technical fouls and the instant replays they have now. So players don't want to be fined and don't want to stay in the game. So, it's not a bad thing. It's just facts. So,
yeah. I mean, and maybe a topic for next week when we get on is probably the video review system for the NBA. I'm not a fan of the coaches challenge. We saw the thing yesterday. There was an over-the-back call for Nurkic. He just turns around and does this to his coach. He's like, I didn't do it. If what the coach actually challenged was the foul on Nurkic, he didn't challenge the thing that someone pushed him in the back so that he jumped over that. You're either challenging that's what happened, not whatever happened before. It's like the NRL. Go, sorry, I just want to challenge. What do you want to challenge? Oh, the last 44 minutes. Just find something that was wrong. Like that's what it sort of goes back to. You're only challenging the foul call on Nurkic. You're not finding a foul on Waiters behind him that pushed him in the back. So it's either foul on Nurkic or it's not a foul on Nurkic. You don't change the foul for Nurkic and then put it on Waiters for pushing him in the back. You didn't call a foul on Waiters for pushing him in the back. So that's where my thing about the review system is. You just challenge that call that is there. It was either over the back or it's not. If it wasn't over the back, then you got to jump ball. You don't go and find a foul on someone else before that.
Yeah.
Because that wasn't what was challenged.
Yeah.
The challenge was him over the back. It wasn't the thing prior to that, or the thing prior to that, or the 40 minutes prior to that. That's where my annoyance comes in. If I was the opposing coach and they said, "Yeah, but you challenged that foul. You didn't challenge him pushing him in the back. I want to challenge that now." So then I'm going to challenge your challenge. So I'm going to challenge. I'm not challenging his challenge. I'm challenging your decision that he challenged that for that. And that, you know what I mean? And then it gets stupid. It gets silly.
Yeah.
It's either yes or no. It's either yes, he fouled him, or no, he didn't, and then it's a jump ball. Don't find something else before it. So that's maybe for next week. I mean, it sort of annoyed me.
We'll get deep into it because there was a challenge, and then LeBron's trying to challenge a challenge in yesterday's game.
Exactly.
and then he got called for delay of game.
Yeah, that was that one. That was that play.
Yeah. Okay.
How do I get a delay game?
We'll get into it next week. Okay, cool. So from my side is I'm looking to see if Dallas can make a series out of the Clippers. Like we talked about the war nutrition. With Doncic getting banged up and Porzingis not being available. Like it hurts because like we saw the first 4 games and it was even, right? It's all 2-1, and then today's game was a blowout. They just didn't have enough guns, the way that Dallas played those 2 games where they won, all the others played above their head. They played awesome. So Dallas needs to play at that percentage to even be in the game. The Clippers just have dogs. Like they have a team of vets. So if they play an average game, they can win. If they play an awesome game like they did today, they won by 40, right? 39 points, 40 points.
43, I think. 43, I think it was,
yeah. To be correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what them when they find all cylinders. So that's where you see this margin in the talent. Let's see what they have to offer. Hopefully, Game 6 they have good health and they get their roster back. So you will see.
Yeah, if you watch, did you see the game today? Doncic had a bit of a grimace every time he turned and tried to, carry the ball. He had a bit of a squeamish thing. And I'm like, that doesn't bode well. He might have got a needle in the last one, but you're not going to get 2 needles in 4. You can only have 2 needles in 4 days. So today it would have been, he's weeding off that needle that he got 2 days ago. So it's starting to, and he can get one for the next game. But then if it goes to Game 7, he can't have another one.
Yeah.
So he, you sort of play in that field. We're probably gonna have to shoot him for the next one to get through to the Game 7. And then, hopefully, maybe hit him in the second half of that Game 6 if it's close or something. It's really hard as a team doctor. I'd really, I'd struggle with that. But I mean, I hope that goes the way. The West has been really good. The East was just, the first round was just, you get the broom out of bar one game. Yep. The Magic got one, but I think the Bucks will get the next one. They'll make that 4-1. Then you got a 4-0, 4-0, 4-0.
Yeah.
I mean, 3-2, 3-2. What is it? 3-2, 3-2, 3-1. And 3-2 in the other side. So, the West has got a lot more going for it to watch.
Yep.
But I mean, everyone in the East now has got 6 or 7 days to relax and rest.
Yeah, as a fan and for the fans, I just want more games. So the longer the series goes on, it'll be awesome. But we'll basically check in next week and give a lowdown of our take for the week. And all the awards are coming out. So we get MVP, 6-man. We announced some awards, but we'll save for next week's discussion. Cool. Thank you, Lloyd.
Shout out to Jan.
Thank you, Coach
Shout
Lloyd.
out to Giannis. Good job, Dave. Shout out to T-Bomb there. Good job, man.
Shout out to RJ and D-Swizzle for getting married, and RJ for just keep on giving us content on social medias. Follow us up, subscribe if you find this of value and you like Coach Lloyd's face. That's all we want. Later, guys.
Man.